TMZ. Shame on TMZ for running a hit piece on Spencer Pratt. They ran a hit piece on Spencer Pratt, and it was a lie. They basically try to say, well, he's not really living. He's really homeless. He's living in a nice hotel. Well, that's because Bass allowed his house to be burned out, and it still hasn't been rebuilt. But I've been telling people, TMZ is become a Democrat operative. They become a far left where they just fight. Listen, they haven't reported anything on the Southern Poverty Law Center. They haven't reported anything about how Democrats paid the KKK. They haven't reported on any of that. All they do all day on TMZ is attack Trump and attack conservatives and attack Republicans and attack anybody that's not far left Democrats. That's all they do. And I wish they would stop trying to act like they're really covering news or act like they're really covering anything important. All they do is attack Trump and conservative and Republicans. They have become a joke. They haven't attacked Jay-Z, haven't said anything about him in the Epstein files, but they said so much about Trump and everything. They haven't said anything about Obama being in the Epstein files or Hillary or Bill Clinton, because that's what they do over there at TMZ.
Hi, hello, what's up? This is Navigator. Today we'll be talking about how TMZ had tried to do a hit piece, a smear campaign on Spencer Pratt because they don't like him, because he makes too much sense and they see him as a threat. And like, let's be honest, at this point, TMZ is nothing more than Democrat propagandists, because yeah, they work for them. They work for the Democrats. And the reason they did this is because Spencer Pratt has been showing a lot of ads that has basically just been destroying Karen Bass, the mayor. Basically talking about how her policies had led to high crime, high taxation, the fires in the Palisades that still have not been rebuilt because they're never going to rebuild them because they want that land. Like, let's be honest, then it's going to take years, 10 plus. They're going to try to nickel and dime the people out of it so that they'll sell them the land and just keep it. And it's going to get worse, honestly. And they actually do see him as a threat to becoming mayor, and they don't want that because stability goes against their communist socialist utopia. Because he would not only fix all that stuff, which would go against their evil plan, but he would actually show the people of LA that you do not need to live like this. You do not need to live like a third world. And he's just destroying her with their ads. Go ahead, take a look.
Gotta come deal with this.
This is Asker Basura's park right here. Look at this. And that's the encampment where all the fentanyl addicts and dealers just post up next to it. And then that's the park. That's where. Insane.
But what's worrying me now is that his social media is now taking on a violent turn. And that worries me, because when you do that and when your messages are so hateful, or when you demonize people, then you do provoke people who are unstable, and you can jeopardize people's safety.
You mean like the throwing of the tomatoes?
Well, the throwing of the tomatoes, which look like blood, or drowning me and the governor in a reservoir. But there's also other violent scenes. And so I've noticed that it's taking on a violent trend.
Yeah, she's freaking out. And you have to remember, what they're doing is they're basically saying that he's lying, that he was not homeless after the fires, and that he basically said that he was living in his van, and people saw him staying in the hotels and saying, oh, he's lying. They care more about him living in a freaking van than the fact that his house burned down. Because that's fact, his house burned down. And now TMZ is getting a whole lot of backlash. But like, we all know why they're doing this. It's no different from what they did to Trump or really any conservative. There's a reason why you won't ever hear TMZ talking about the Democrats paying the KKK is because they're Democrats. They are Democrats. They hate conservatives. They hate MAGA. Don't forget, they were laughing when Charlie Kirk was assassinated. We all know that. And yeah, and then Spencer Pratt went on the show just to confront them, and he showed everyone how to handle fake news.
The campaign ad certainly made it seem that
you were living in that trailer. It was a high point of the commercial, but you're at the Hotel Bel Air. So kind of undo that for us.
No, to be clear, that is where, excuse me, that is where I live. That's where Karen Bass, Mayor Bass, burned down my house. That is where I will live until I have a new house. The Airstream is a temporary facility. A hotel is a temporary facility. Where my kids are in Santa Barbara right now is a temporary housing. This is where I live as this is where they burned my house down. So this semantics or the nuance of this is the consequences of their failed leadership. And again, I don't live at the Hotel Bel Air. I don't live in the Airstream. I don't live in the Santa Barbara. I don't have a house. They burned it down. That is why I got into this race, because of these people that will burn your house down and act like it's no problem. So this idea that anyone's like, oh, he's at a hotel. I'm at a hotel because these psychopaths are messaging me every day. They're going to kill me because Nithya Raman is calling me a fascist because I don't want people to have their kids next to drug addicts at the park or stepping in human poop when you get your matcha. I have common sense. That's not fascism. So these psychos here, I'm a fascist, and then they literally, like, if you would like to see the death threats, I can send them all offline where people are like, I'm going to hire people to kill you. So yes, unfortunately, now I have a security team, and they will not, even if I wanted to stay in the Airstream, would let me, because there's 360 unobstructed views since there's no houses. So you can literally snipe me out from any part from 300 yards away easily.
Spencer,
And not
can
to
no,
mention,
I
one sec. Not to mention, the Airstream, it took over a month for LADWP to connect a wire for electricity to it, which was 3 days ago. It took weeks to get the water hooked up, which was yesterday. So for these people that want to focus on where I sleep at night, first off, I don't even sleep. I get 4 hours of sleep because I'm fighting these corrupt freaking politicians all day long. You want to see my phone hours? I'll screenshot it. It probably says
Spencer,
19 hours.
I hear what you're saying, and on the symbolism of your ad that because of the fire that you don't have a home, and I get that, but there's something to the point where you say in the ad, "This is where I live," while you're standing in front of a trailer. I think the reason that ad was so effective with voters is because you did draw this visual comparison of where the mayor lives, where Nithya Raman lives, and where you live. So you're showing where they live, and then you're saying, this is where I live. Everyone saw that ad and thought, wow, Spencer Pratt has to live in that trailer because his house burned down.
I do, sir.
I find this really, honestly disgusting. Like, TMZ, these people, Democrats, they really make me sick. And, like, I'm just going to be upfront. If they were as honest and said, yes, TMZ is nothing but Democrat propaganda, I would respect them more. But I can't. They're sitting here talking about stuff that nobody cares about. Because, yes, we know his house was burned down. And, yes, he can't stay in that trailer because, honestly, I believe in what he said. At the moment we are at, common sense is fascism to the left. That's just it. Common sense is fascism to the left. Boys can't be girls. Fascists. I want border laws. Fascists. That's it. I want healthy food. Fascists, because of RFK's with it. And he's right. They will 100% try to assassinate him because the left has a violence problem. And with an open area like that, because all the houses are gone, they would get a good shot. And yeah, imagine being a Republican in California in that danger. Probably worse. 100% got to be equally or almost as bad as what the gays used to get, or what the Jews are getting right now, honestly, from Democrats. But, like, yeah, this is just a smear campaign. It's nothing what it is. They want to attack him because they're threatened by him, and this reeks of desperation because they are. They are desperate. That's just a fact. And it don't matter. I'm gonna be upfront. Do I think he might win? No, because there's too many there's too many morons in California who, no matter what, keep voting blue. You have too many stupid women there who keep voting blue, even though they get nothing back in return. Maybe when all the money leaves and they have to roost with what they settled.
But
that is my house.
But for the last month and a half, you've been at the Bel Air Hotel.
I haven't been at the Bel Air Hotel for more than 6 days in the last month. This is all public
Right,
on my things.
But that's where you've been staying. I know you may not have actually been in it.
No, I've been in Santa Barbara where the LA Times reported where I lived and doxed me. That is where I live, period. This is LA Times. This isn't breaking news. Even when the Airstream ad came out, the LA Times cover story is saying, no, Spencer Pratt lives in Santa Barbara. And I said, yes, thank you for doxing me. I tried to sue the LA Times for saying where I actually live.
But but are you saying you live in that trailer?
I don't live anywhere is what I'm saying. I don't have a house. They burned it down, Harvey. I don't have a house.
But why not say that? But Spencer, that would be really effective. Why not say that in the ad? I don't have a home.
You texted me today. I have never told anyone I lived in it. And yet in the ad you say, this is where I live.
This is my house. This is my property. There's nothing there, Harvey. It's dirt lot. I had to have it craned in to the lot. That's what people are. This is psycho. I only got on this live because I love you. But so last time I'm going to talk about this because the reason I am running is because they burned down 7,000 houses. This is where everyone lives. They don't not consider that their home just because it's a dirt lot, because it's an Airstream, a teepee, a tent. When you're a fire victim, this is where you live. They burn it down. This is where I always will live. People are missing the messaging of the consequences.
But Spencer, listen, I've known you for a long time.
Yes.
And you're a really smart guy. And you are all over these ads, which have been, honestly, they've been lauded by people who have said these are, brilliant ads. Wasn't the point there, and I believe the trailer door was even open, wasn't the point to telegraph to people that your body went inside that trailer night after night?
Right.
I mean, wasn't that the point of the ad?
No, the point of the ad is to show this is where they burned my house down. I have no house. This is their houses. They're fine. And this is where I live. This is where my town lives. This is our reality for the next 10 years, if we're lucky. That'll be there for the next 6 years. And I'll say, I live there. I live in the Palisades. I'm a registered voter to that address. I'm an Angelino. Even if my family and kids have to now go to school in Santa Barbara, I am an Angelino. This is my town. This is where they burned me down. So I am on set with these lovely people at Interview Magazine, and I can't be just ranting all day, but I appreciate you. People can be all caught up in the nuance of where I live or where I don't. I'm running for mayor because these people will burn your house down, cover it up.
Spencer, the nuance is you being truthful to vote with voters.
I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. That is where I live. Period.
Okay.
Period. I don't need to sleep there every night. I don't need to go to the number 2 on that toilet. That is where I live. I'm from the Palisades, Los Angeles, and I'm fighting for Los Angeles. So
okay, but just one final thing. Just to clarify, you have never physically lived in that trailer.
To clarify, I haven't lived anywhere since my house burned down.
Well, you're sleeping somewhere.
These are
for those 4 hours.
Again, I don't live anywhere. They burned my house down, to be clear. So I love you guys. You can,
all right.
What we should be doing on TMZ is talking about the drug addicts that we spend $500 million that live on our sidewalk going number 2. This is great that this is the focus, but that's the reality. And if people care about this right now, we're in so much trouble. And I'm going to do my best to try to save LA. But if people don't get out and vote because they want to feel safe, and that's what I'm fighting for people to feel safe and their tax money to literally go to making us safe and the people to get housed and people not to die on the street, that's the message. So this does not matter. That is where I live, period. And I'll live in LA as long as I have that dirt lot. The Airstream is imaginary to me. I live in that dirt, in my ashes. That's what I fight for. So I love you guys. Keep posting me. Please use better photos. God bless you.
Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks, Spencer.
Have a great day.
Yeah, these people make me sick. But I'm not gonna lie, I do like Spencer Pratt. He really does know how to handle the fake news, like Trump in a way. And he was really making them uncomfortable because they kept trying to make the whole interview about Well, and it wasn't an interview. It was a smear campaign. It was a hit piece. They were trying to get gotchas and attack him because, again, they work for Democrats, and Democrats told him to attack him. But if you notice, they kept trying to make the whole thing about the camper, but was afraid to talk about the fire. Every time he brought up the fire, they were visibly unhappy. They did not want to talk about it, which shows that they're BS. In the end of this, I'm going to read through the Bible and a passage that I'm going to give. If anyone here's in California, listen to this, because Proverbs 30:21. My son, let them not depart from your eyes. Keep sound wisdom and discretion. Meaning, instead of trying to still do the whole Democrat thing, because let's be honest, that you guys been doing that for years, and you got nothing. You have the highest crime, highest tax, even though you get nothing back from it. A bunch of non-citizens going in and taking your money and jobs. Yeah, try something different. What do you got to lose? And with that, this has been Navigator. Come back again soon. Thank you.